Hello, I'm Linda, and I'd like to tell you about my son. My husband and I were blessed to have one child, a son, and we lost Chris when he was 36 years old. And I knew he wasn't in good health, but he developed an aneurysm, a brain aneurysm, and had to have brain surgery. And we sat by him day after day, many, many days. He was in a coma for several weeks, and I would sit with him and we prayed. Jim, my husband, and I both prayed and sat with him. And day after day, we would sit in the waiting room until we could see him. There were lapses when we had to leave his bedside, and we would sit in the waiting rooms and with other people that had loved ones or friends with severe head trauma. And we got to know these people, and we knew that we weren't the only ones in the world that was suffering. We felt like we just gave Chris to God to take care of, do whatever was in His will, because that was all that mattered. We wanted him to improve his outlook, his health outlook. We wanted him to be healed if possible, but we knew that it was all in God's hands. We had the hope that no matter what happened, we would see him again if it was God's will that he be taken away from us. We knew that he would be with God. We saw other people that didn't always have the hope or share the hope that we felt like that we had, that we were blessed to have. When Chris was quite small, he came to me and told me he wanted to be a Christian, and we prayed, and he was so happy to be able to say he was a Christian, and the tears in his eyes told me that he was saved. And he even had a teacher that came to me one time, and she said, he was just a little guy at this time, by the way, and he was about maybe 5 or 6, just in the starting years of school. And he had been pushed down by someone. And he went to the teacher and he told him, she said he looked up at her with tears in his eyes and said, "That's okay. I'm a Christian and I forgive him." And that just always stuck with me, even through now, the present. I think of that often, and it blesses my heart because it gives me the hope that he has, that we will see him again. As we sat in the hospital rooms and we talked with other people, we shared laughs, we shared tears, we shared stories about the ones that we loved that were in the hospital, and we always gave them the hope that no matter what we go through here, we have the hope of seeing him again, if he doesn't survive this. And I know that we went several weeks, we went months, and he was in intensive care. He was in a place where they try to work with them. He did come out of the coma, and that was one of the highlights. I remember laughing and crying and praying that, and he was just happy too. Chris was, he knew he had been sick. He knew that he was going in the hospital. When he went in the hospital, we knew that he was critical, and we had prayed, and I every day every day I would try to ask him. I said, you are okay if something happens. If you can't, if you don't survive this, you'll be okay, right? He says yes. He would say, yes, Mom. This was, of course, after he came out of the coma. And we were hopeful that he would come through and be healed of this, but it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't God's will. He was taken away from us in about 3 months into this, and it was very difficult. But when we viewed him at the funeral home, I remember my husband saying, you know, he's just gone there, he got there before us. And I thought, that is so right. That is so right, because we have this hope in Jesus Christ that we will see him again, and we will be with him and be with the Lord Jesus.
Wow. The devastation of losing an adult son. I appreciate Linda sharing from her heart about that tremendous journey. It may be that you are going through some real adversity right now in your own life. It's obvious that Linda has found hope through Jesus Christ. If we can help you at all with what you're going through and your journey, contact us here at Here's Hope America.